Always very happy to be able to spend time with you talking about our products and how they can help us to help those who come to us for our assistance. But always, of course, remembering we need to help ourselves first so that we have experience of the products in our own personal capacity, as well as sharing it with others. So as we do from time to time, I've got a Q&A session today, which is a session where we look at the questions which you have come across and shared with us so that we can speak about them during these sessions. And maybe in that way, different people who are on the call may find the answers useful. And as always, of course, we receive quite a number of questions. I want to keep on encouraging you to be patient. If your question does not appear on today's session, it is going to appear in the next one. So without further ado, let me go to the first question, which the first few questions are from leftover from a previous session. Someone wanted to know about success in breastfeeding. Here, I'm assuming the person wanted some pointers about being able to produce enough milk in order to be able to easily meet the needs of her infant. So the first thing to say, especially for first-time moms, is that I often find that breastfeeding is not talked about or taught as much as other aspects of pregnancy. And it is not obvious that everyone who wants to breastfeed is going to have an easy time of it. So for that reason, I would encourage those who are expecting and maybe want to know more about how to do this successfully, to consult those nursing sisters or midwives in order to get some ideas of how to be successful in breastfeeding. This has become more of an issue when for a while, a lot of moms were opting to bottle feed their children, but as the awareness of the great importance of breastfeeding is becoming greater, more and more new moms are opting to breastfeed their babies. But it might be that there has been a gap in the knowledge because of the periods during which mothers opted not to breastfeed. As you know, breastfeeding gives the young baby a lot of benefits. The benefit starts from the birth process, which natural birth, that is non-cesarean birth, is always the best option if it is possible. And the benefits go on to the first milk called the colostrum, which starts the baby on a very good footing. Here we are thinking about not only their physical development, but also development of their systems like the immune system and their gut microbiome and so on. So it's I think I appreciate this question very much from the person who sent the question. It's an important one which I think should get more attention. But to go to some of the lifestyle points I wanted to raise, the first is, of course, to eat a healthy, nutrient-dense diet, including things like bone broths and soups and healthy fats, good sources of protein as much as can be supplied, and of course, healthy carbohydrates. All these will help the mother to have the nutrients that she herself requires and also what is required for making the milk for the baby. Also, another thing that I thought I might point out is to encourage the baby to breastfeed until the breast is emptied, the breasts are emptied, if possible, so that the body is aware of the volume of milk that it needs to produce. Again, establishing a baby to start breastfeeding well is sometimes tricky, and this is where sometimes assistance may be required. But the mother's milk production responds to the baby's intake. So encourage the baby to drink to their fill so that your body will respond also by producing the right amount of milk. If it is too much, it will gradually reduce. If it is too little, it will gradually increase. Of course, there are those distressing circumstances where moms find that their milk is too little. And in that case, it's of course going to be necessary to supplement with other sources. But it is worth the effort to first try to establish successful breastfeeding. Also, a last point I wanted to mention here is that certain drugs can interfere adversely with milk production, and one of them are the hormonal contraceptives. So just you're aware, this has the effect in some women of interfering with milk production. Okay, on our Neolife side, we definitely have supplements that will play a crucial role. The first one I would recommend is multimineral alfalfa, so as to replenish the minerals that the mother has herself needs, as well as what has gone out for the baby's needs, and in addition to that, for in the milk that the mother is producing. In fact, a number of moms have come to me because they develop dental problems as they establish breastfeeding, and that is often resolved by using multimineral alfalfa or CalMag, because the mothers may not be aware that they are losing quite a bit of minerals when they are producing milk for their infant. So multimineral alfalfa, very important during pregnancy, but also must carry on during the period of breastfeeding. Then we also recommend Neolife Shake to supplement the dietary protein that the mother will be taking. Of course, a growing baby is going to be getting their protein from their milk. Essentially, this will be their main food at the beginning of their life. And so a good source of proteins will be supplemented by Neolife Shake if possible. But remember, a supplement is not the main thing. It supplements what you are already eating. So the moms should make sure that they get good dietary protein. Then the third I would recommend is ProVitality, which will give a general nutritional boost in the different supplements that make up ProVitality. There'll be the carotenoid complex, the omega-3 salmon oil, very important for the baby as well, and the mom, as well as multi and threonine. So those are the three recommendations for helping to establish breastfeeding. And well done to the person who sent that question. Then next question was one that I was not quite able to understand. Someone wanted to know what to recommend for a virus that eats bones. So the closest I could think of was maybe osteomyelitis, a bone illness. But here, for this reason, my first recommendation would be to consult a doctor so that they can establish the cause of the destruction in bones. It could be a virus. It could also be a bacterium. It could also be a different illness that is attacking the body. And if it is an infection, then of course the doctor would recommend medications that would help in dealing with the microbe that is causing the illness. So unfortunately, I was not quite clear about what the question was asking. But in an umbrella recommendation, I would say Neolife Shake would be useful, together with CalMag to support the bone production, and vitamin C to help in tissue recovery. So first recommendation is to consult a doctor to get better clarity about what is going on. And then those three supplements can be taken in the meanwhile as we are clarifying what is causing the destruction in bones. Okay, another question was about autism in a small child. And autism, as you might be aware, is a developmental disorder that manifests in various ways, but especially difficulty in developing language skills and communication. So difficulty in speaking and also in understanding what is being spoken. So it will have varying degrees of severity. And the first lifestyle point I would like to make here is that autism is affected by the diet. And so certain foods may need to be eliminated or avoided for a significant period of time. So problematic foods, usually we have things like dairy, gluten, foods with additives such as preservatives, colorants, and so on, and any other food that maybe the parents of the child may notice worsens the child's symptoms should be eliminated, at least for a while, and other foods can be used in their place. Then the second suggestion is to opt as much as possible for nutritious, minimally processed foods according to the ability of a child to eat them. The thing with autism is sometimes there's also a struggle with eating because a child might hate the sensation certain food has on their mouth. So, but as far as possible, try to avoid foods which are processed, because another thing about autism is that there is a struggle to detox. So try to keep at a minimum any foods that could be introducing unnatural substances into the child's body, such as colorants and preservatives and all this stuff. Then incorporate plenty of movement in the child's day. So the question here is for a small child, maybe take them for walks, play with them, and so on, because this difficulty in communication may affect the parent's ability to parent well, but do make the effort. It's a struggle, yes, but the effort could be what makes the difference between the autism being mild or being severe. Okay, then we have Neolife supplements that can also assist. The first is vitamin A plus D, especially where sun exposure is not adequate. But as I've said in the previous point, try to expose the child to sunshine, maybe by playing in the sun and so on. More and more research is showing how very important vitamin D is. So the first supplement there would be vitamin A plus D, which I hope the child will be able to swallow because it is a small capsule. And with some help, maybe the child will be able to swallow it. As always, if it's completely difficult, then the capsule can be pierced and the contents emptied into the child's food or drink. Then we also recommend VitaGuard. Remember, this is a small child, so the supplements we can use are the childhood supplement, VitaGuard. If they can suck them, then it's okay. If they struggle with that, then maybe to crush the VitaGuard and the Vita Squares for them and put them in their food. We can also recommend Neolife Shake. Maybe if the tablets are problematic, then the Neolife Shake could be a good protein supplement for the child. And omega-3 minis can also be added there. Again, the choice of omega-3 minis is because the capsule is small, but always to be aware if a child is not able to swallow, rather to pierce the capsule and empty the contents into the food. I know that omega-3 salmon oil can have a very strong fishy smell, which might be off-putting to some people. So just keep that in mind. And if it is not doable, then maybe hold on with that until a later stage when the ability to swallow is better. Okay, so moving on from autism, the next question was about allergies to proteins. Unfortunately, in recent times, allergies have proliferated to such an extent that is a bit mind-boggling. But there we have it. It is fairly common, and one of the things which people can be allergic are protein foods. There are certain proteins that are already well known to be likely to cause allergies, like seafood and certain types of fish. But there are less allergenic proteins, such as things like beef and other types of meat may not be very allergenic. Also, certain plant sources of proteins may not be so allergenic. Unfortunately, allergy is a very subjective thing. So the recommendation here would be to go through an elimination diet in order to identify and avoid trigger proteins, because the only way to know what to avoid is to check what makes the allergies worse and what does not make them as vicious as all that. So by elimination, then it will be possible to avoid the trigger proteins and opt for the ones which are better tolerated. Included there would be to maybe use Neolife Shake as a source of proteins, so as to see if they are able to tolerate it well, because it is made of some of the proteins that are hypoallergenic, not so allergenic. So try that as well. If it is well tolerated, it will be a good addition as you look through the various protein sources and identify the ones that the child can tolerate or not. Unfortunately, with something like these types of allergies, it is difficult to suggest that you take this or that supplement to get rid of it. I think my best recommendation here is to try to eliminate the trigger proteins and to keep to the ones which are not causing such a bad reaction. Keep in mind that if the meat comes from the meat is from an animal that has been fed things like wheat and other allergy-causing foods, then that can actually cause a reaction in people who are very sensitive to gluten. Okay, so for that reason, you may also want to look at the quality of meat that you are feeding the allergic person with, and opt for animals that have been organically raised or raised on the foods that they are usually in their natural diet. This is not something we can take for granted in the days we are living in, where we have got farmed fish and farmers are using all kinds of foodstuffs for their animals. But just to be careful about the sources of meat, because it could be that the food that the animal ate is actually what is behind the allergic reaction. So there, apart from Neolife Shake to supplement proteins, if they are able to tolerate it without an allergic reaction, I think I would just recommend an elimination diet to identify the worst of the proteins for the allergic reaction and avoid them. Another question was what to recommend for epilepsy. So my first recommendation, of course, is to be under the care of a doctor to receive anti-seizure medication. Unfortunately, not all people who have epilepsy respond to many of the medications that are prescribed, and you find that sometimes people continue, the person will continue having seizures even under medication. And that is why lifestyle points will be very important, especially for such persons who are not responding well to the medication. Some of the medications have side effects such as making the person lethargic and unable to pay attention or move around freely. So there are certain lifestyle points that are very good for epilepsy. One of them is to completely eliminate sugar and refined carbohydrates from the diet. These certain kinds of epilepsy are actually linked to intolerance to carbohydrate, especially refined ones like sugar and flour-based food. And then we also recommend a high-fat diet because we are going to remove the majority of the carbohydrates that we usually have, then you replace them with a high-fat diet so that fat becomes the main source of energy. And certain epileptics actually do quite well with a high-fat diet and a very low carbohydrate diet, in addition to medication, or even in some cases in place of medication if they are not tolerant of the medication they are receiving. Then there are supplements that we'll also recommend to help with the condition. We would recommend magnesium complex, vitamin B complex, and either vitamin E or wheat germ oil. Remember, wheat germ oil contains vitamin E. So if you opt for wheat germ oil, you don't need to take the vitamin E as well. If you opt for vitamin E, then it's also adequate. And then you can also add their omega-3 salmon oil. So those would be the supplement recommendations for epilepsy, but I strongly recommend eliminating all sugar and refined carbohydrates from the diet. And it can actually make the medicines even more effective. Okay, then next question, someone wanted to know what to recommend for hand tremors. So they have tremors in their hands. And my first recommendation would be to consult a doctor to identify the underlying causes, because tremors can have a variety of causes. It's good to be aware of what could be causing them. It could be a condition which can be assisted medically, or which, if you're aware of, there are precautions and things that you can do in advance. So consult a doctor to get to the bottom of a problem. And then exercises to strengthen the muscles which are having tremors. And also some habits worsen tremors. For example, use of alcohol may need to be terminated, as well as coffee. And then prioritize good sleep and rest. When one is poorly rested, maybe not sleeping well, it worsens the tremors, and in general, that is. And then on the new life side, the supplements we recommend are very general because, again, if we do not know what is causing the tremors, we can just give a general recommendation of vitamin B complex, magnesium complex, and either vitamin E or wheat germ oil for that. Then someone wanted to know what causes hernias. So a hernia is a tear in the lining of the abdomen, and the tear can occur in different places. For example, the common one would be in the belly button where the umbilical cord was cut, or it can be in the groin, or it can be in other parts of the abdomen. And the causes can be either that someone has a congenital weakness of the tissue that makes the abdominal lining, or the tissue could have been damaged as a result of chronic pressure on it. So such pressure can reduce the ability of the muscles or the connective tissue to hold the organs in place in the body part affected. So for example, if you have chronic constipation that is not resolved, it can lead to a hernia. If a person is maybe having very continuous respiratory infections where they're sneezing and coughing a lot, that chronic pressure from coughing and sneezing can actually weaken some of the tissues and lead to hernias and so on. Another cause can be excessive weight gain, where there is a lot of weight, especially around the abdomen, can cause enough pressure to cause a hernia. Then for this reason, if it's a matter of excessive weight, then of course the recommendation would be to take measures towards weight reduction. If it is something which is congenital, then there is little that can be done except maybe keep a healthy weight. And if there is maybe something like constipation, then of course we would use the supplements for constipation. So this hernia, we will just recommend that if there is a severe hernia is very big and the organs are protruding from it, then a surgical intervention may be required. A surgery may be required to patch up and sew up the hernia. Then we'll recommend vitamin C. We also recommend chelated zinc and Neolife Shake to see if the body would be able to strengthen those tissues. Okay, then someone wanted to know what to recommend for tinea pedis, which is athlete's feet. So I don't know if it's still called athlete's feet, but we used to call it athlete's feet, which is a fungal infection of the feet. It used to be called that because it was thought that it was passed from athletes in their locker rooms where they are showering and maybe barefoot, where the fungal infection would be encountered. So I think to notice that this type of fungal infection could be an indication of a poor gut microbiome, because many of these microbes can actually be just dealt with by our immune system or our gut microbiome. Another issue could be with blood sugar, that there are some blood sugar issues that are beginning. So fungal infection should be a warning bell for us to check whether our gut microbiome is all right or whether our sugar metabolism is okay. Then in the lifestyle recommendation for athlete's feet, we'd say avoid sharing footwear or walking barefoot in public bathrooms where you might pick up the infection. If you have a tendency to this condition that it keeps on recurring, then it would be a good idea to wear open shoes or shoes made of porous material, so that the feet are not enclosed in a warm, moist, dark shoe, which makes fungal proliferation a lot easier. So opt for open shoes, but to avoid infection, take those precautions. And maybe take a moment to find out from your chemist, your pharmacist, or doctor if your blood sugar is not problematic. And then from Neolife, we recommend garlic allium complex is very good for dealing with microbes that attack us. Remember, if you have been maybe a bit careless with your diet, if you start having things like athlete feet, it could be a warning that you need to cut out sugar and junk foods and opt for healthier options. Because remember, the unhealthy options feed the disease-causing microbes that are in us, and the healthier options support those microbes that actually work towards our health. On the supplement side, we recommend garlic allium, as I was saying. We can also use diluted care solution to clean the feet, and botanical balance in case there is pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes that has not been picked up. So look at it as a warning, but also take those points to deal with it. Then another question along the same line, someone wanted to know what to recommend for skin tags. So skin tags are small skin protrusions that we may find on our bodies. They are common, for example, around the creases of the neck, just below the head, and other creases on other parts of the body, like the inner part of the elbow and so on. So this can also be genetic, or it can be caused by certain types of virus. This is what we call warts. So warts are a kind of skin tag, sort of. I was not sure what kind the person was talking about. So if it's warts, then they are caused by the human papilloma virus. And if it is neither of those, then type 2 diabetes can also manifest with skin tags, especially on the creases, skin creases, like on the neck. You will see darker skin forming on the creases, as well as the skin tags, and that should be a call for you to check with your doctor or pharmacist about your blood sugar. Then we'll recommend if it's a skin wart, so the tag would be warts. Then we recommend garlic allium complex. We recommend vitamin A plus D and also vitamin B complex. If the skin tags are due to type 2 diabetes, or if you have a familial tendency towards it, maybe family members have blood sugar issues, then botanical balance, threonine, and magnesium complex would be the recommendation there. So this, as I've said, will depend on the kind of and cause of the skin tag. If it is simply a genetic thing that runs in your family and there are no issues of the HPV or of sugar metabolism, then there I think it might be something that you may want maybe to have surgically removed or simply to live with it, if that is an option. Okay, then another question was someone wanted to know about spinal dislocation. So my first recommendation would be to consult a doctor or a chiropractor to see about realignment. A good chiropractor can do a lot in realigning the muscle, the spine, which has been dislocated. And then, so that is the first and most important recommendation, to find out how the dislocation can be rectified, because the supplements themselves are not going to correct a dislocated spine. Therefore, do consult with maybe an orthopedic surgeon or a chiropractor or physiotherapist. Any of these would be able to give you some guidance. Then the supplements would be complementary with that. You can use Full Motion, omega-3 salmon oil, and CalMag. Another question was about heart enlargement, what to recommend for heart enlargement. Again, here I recommend consulting a doctor to find the underlying cause. The enlarged heart could be an indicator of issues that need to be attended to. It could be related to the heart not functioning well. So, for instance, a person who has sickle cell anemia can develop an enlarged heart because the heart has to work so much harder due to the anemia. So do consult a doctor to find what is causing it. And then on your lifestyle side, eliminate harmful habits such as the use of tobacco and alcohol, which can worsen this. And also opt for a healthy diet and active lifestyle. And supplement with coenzyme Q10, that is important in heart health. We also recommend magnesium complex and omega-3 salmon oil. Then another person wanted to know if there was a problem taking their CalMag supplement in the daytime. I see no problem with this myself. What I have come to understand is that people who have problems sleeping find sometimes, some of them find that taking CalMag at bedtime might assist them in relaxing and sleeping better. So that if that is not a relevant issue for yourself, or if you find that you prefer to take it during the daytime, there is no problem with that at all, as far as I know. Because if you can think, we also take our CalMags from our foods at different times of the day, and our supplements are just food concentrates. And so if you prefer to take it in the morning or in the daytime, then I think that is okay. Then I think this may be our last question for today. So someone wanted to know what to recommend for recurrent tonsillitis. So on the lifestyle side, I would recommend gargling with salt water, maybe once a day in the evening, because they are saying it's recurrent, which means they keep on having this infection. And then eat a healthy diet to boost the immune system, so that the immune system is able to fight back against these repeated infections. If possible, avoid exposure, but usually rather than trying to avoid exposure, it's better to strengthen your immune system so that it is able to be resilient when it is under attack from the infecting microbes. Supplements that will be quite helpful in this will be flavonoid complex, or if you prefer, vitamin C. I always like flavonoid complex, especially because it has got those phytonutrients that will help to boost our immune system. Of course, vitamin C is also an excellent choice. Then I'll also recommend garlic allium complex and herbal respiratory complex as well, because tonsillitis tends to go hand in hand with respiratory infections. So these supplements should be able to assist the body to fight against respiratory infections. And the periodic gargling with brine can also help to clean up the interior of the mouth cavity at the end of the day. So I think that we'll defer the remaining question to our next Q&A. So now let me thank you very much for having spent your time and your data with me during this half hour. I hope that you found the questions and answers interesting and will be of use to you, maybe as right now or sometime in future. And as we are moving towards the last months of the year, I hope that you are really keeping your eyes focused on your goals, and that our sessions are helping you to do so. So without taking much longer, let me hand you over to Pascal, who is ready to take you through the business session for today.
Thank you very much, Betty, for those